Hey, everybody, I'm Jesse.
And I'm Jake.
And I'm Adam. And I'm mad as hell. And I'm not gonna take it anymore.
And this is Boring Conversation.
Welcome to Boring Conversation, a Malifaux podcast.
And welcome back to Boring Conversation, everybody. So today we have myself, Jesse, Jake, and Adam all here to talk about the Content Creators Draft League that Brian and Kyle from Schemes and Stones have been kind enough to put on for us. So we're gonna kind of talk a little bit about our draft picks. We're gonna talk about the rules for the league and how we think that things played out with the other participants in the league as well. But before that, and most importantly, what are you guys drinking tonight? Adam, I think you just made up a drink, right?
Yeah, no. And what I made up is a polar seltzer water.
Delightful.
It's a lime seltzer water.
That sounds quite tasty.
It
And
is. You know
Polar is
what?
my favorite seltzer brand.
You know what though? I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like I don't even drink soda anymore. I just drink these things. It's pretty amazing. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
They're pretty legit.
Yeah, no, they're good. They're good. I like the bubblies. The bubblies are really good, and some of the ahas. But bubblies got some crazy flavors. You know, they got that like coconut pineapple one, very pina colada. Yeah, it's really good.
You know what's really good with some of those sparkling waters too? If you're an alcoholic, yeah, gin, exactly. If you're an alcoholic like me, you have a bunch of different kinds of fancy like bitters in the house for making cocktails with, and you just throw a couple little drops of those things into a seltzer.
Yeah,
fucking delicious.
There's when you introduced me to that Uncle Val's Botanical, which I love, by the way. I actually found an elderberry seltzer by Polar. And put that with that botanical gin.
Hell yeah,
so good,
so stuff.
Good. Yeah, just really clean tasting, you know.
Oh yeah. What about you, Jake? Do you have anything this evening?
I'm pretty boring. I'm just drinking water tonight, but I am drinking it out of my Content Creator Invitational pint glass. So there's
that. I don't think I've taken mine out of the box that it's been in since I got home from Captain Con. My whole 8x4 gaming table downstairs is completely covered with all the boxes of stuff that we brought home from Captain Con because I had to just get that out of my system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
After working on it for months.
Yeah, you've got all of the terrain over there, huh?
Yes, yeah. All of it. All the terrain, all the leftover prize support, all my stuff. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
I think you still have I think you still have my glass, actually.
I do. I have your glass. I have a lot of stuff that I need to redistribute. Yeah, that's on the list of stuff to do next week.
Probably. I'm gonna need some of my buildings. My daughter's doing a project. She's doing like a sunken town for like some history project or something. Nice. So I'm gonna try and do my plan for the crew I want to paint, my display for that I told Jake about a little bit already. But that'll be my test, is to have those buildings like that. So I don't want to reveal too much about it. But
we're going to go slightly far afield here. We're going to go on a little bit of a tangent, but I found a YouTube channel. I might even link it in the comments because it's so damn cool. But I found a YouTube channel of a guy that makes like movie accurate and video game accurate like buildings and stuff, literally from garbage and pieces of scrap. Like he made the castle from Howl's Moving Castle literally out of like plastic bottles and pieces of like garbage. It's amazing. He did a stable from Zelda Breath of the Wild from like sticks and modeling clay and just painted it up so that it looks exactly like it is in the game. It's pretty damn cool.
Wow. So must be nice to have free time.
Yeah, I know. That's what happens when you have a YouTube channel and subscribers and ad revenue. You can just sit around all day doing stuff like that.
I had to struggle just to find time for this right now.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So I actually, when we started recording, and speaking of my drink, I had an Allagash white Belgian style wheat beer, which is one of my absolute favorite beers on the planet. But Adam had some technical issues, which we resolved by me clicking a button on my screen. So we can blame me for the technical issues, not him. But it took so long that I finished that beer. So now I just have a Jameson straight up. It's good.
Gets the job done. So.
It does. You know what? It really does. So, as said before, we're here to talk about this draft league that we joined along with several other folks from the content creation sphere. So we'll kind of just to go over some of the folks that are actually in the league before we get into the league rules. We've got Maeve from the Bayou Breakdown and frequent guest on Boring Conversation. Incidentally, Maeve has a streaming channel on Twitch with live plays of City of Mist, the tabletop RPG. And she just launched her first podcast episode doing some interview style podcasts with content creators, luminaries in the community of Malifaux. I listened to it the other day. It was great. I really enjoyed it. She had Cody Hyatt on. Great episode. We also have Sam from Goonhammer. We have Jim from the Other Coast. Me, Jake, and Adam, all from Boring Conversation, and then Kyle and Brian from Schemes and Stones. So big props to Kyle for being kind enough to invite us in. I've really been enjoying myself so far, and I can probably speak for you guys in saying that it's been a lot of fun on your ends too.
Yeah, I played one with them. I want to say last year or the year before. We did one, and it was more of a. It was pre. The what are they doing right now? That World's tournament, whatever it is. I don't know.
Malifaux World Series, yeah.
Yeah, it was pre Malifaux World Series, and we kind of had our own drafts going, and it was a lot of fun. That was before the titles came out and everything like that. It was a good time. So this is very similar, but I happen to know all the people that are playing, so that always makes it more enjoyable.
Absolutely. So just to quickly go over the rules for the draft and the matches before we get into what we picked. So in terms of the draft, it was a snake draft. We have 8 players. Each player was allowed to pick one master per faction, which means that at the end of the draft, all 8 players are going to have one master from each of the 8 factions. We were not allowed to pick any henchmen leaders for this. We're sticking to masters only. And when we actually play the games with the masters, we're allowed to choose either title. So it's not like we have to choose the title when we actually do the draft. We did randomized matchmaking for rounds 1 through 7. And then round 8 is the matches are going to be determined by standings. So we know when we're taking care of the pairings, we know who we're going to be playing against. We also know the pool that we're going to be playing into. And we do know any previous or other masters that they've selected so that we can narrow down what we think that they might pick. When it comes to hiring crews, the other stipulations that we made are that we're not going to allow master hiring. So it's going to be your chosen master as the only one in the game. And then we're also only allowed to pick 2 maximum non-keyword models. So that would include any out of keywords or any versatiles that don't share a keyword with your master. So that's it. Obviously, we're playing a modified version of Malifaux with this, but it does make things very interesting because we can't just say, I don't really know this master that well, so I'm just going to pick the minimum number of models that I need to make that master work, and then I'm just going to pick faction all-stars. So I really like that approach because it's forcing us to really try and be as comfortable as we can with playing keywords that a lot of us maybe have never played with and maybe even not played against. Yeah.
I like it a lot, and I think it's honestly, I know we're saying without the double masters and everything like that, and with the minimum versatiles and out of keywords, but I almost think that it's the truest form of what they intended for 3rd edition, to be kind of reliant on the keywords, because that was the whole purpose of the keyword, really.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know that I personally, just in pretty much all my games, I really do tend to play keyword heavy pretty much all the time. I mean, you guys have played against me a lot, and I don't really feel like I hire more than 1 or 2 non-keyword models in general. I think that really all of us do. I mean, Adam, you play very themey. Jake, you play very themey. I really think that that's just kind of the way that our meta works in general.
I mean, lately I've been my theme has been the double master, just because I want to.
Yeah, you have not been sticking to one keyword at all.
No, just because I want to pound that into the dirt and just abuse the hell
Yeah.
out of it. So.
Yeah, because you're a degenerate, basically.
No, because I hate it and I want it to be a problem. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is. But Jesse, to your point, I think that if this rule didn't exist, the 2 out of keyword model rule, you would definitely see a lot more people playing the All Stars and playing things from other keywords that they're just more familiar with. Because that's how you get around getting stuck with a master that you're not crazy about. I do think there are a few masters that really suffer from this, though. I had mentioned Seamus. I personally, big Reser player, but I personally feel like Seamus's keyword isn't great, and he really benefits from taking a bunch of versatiles. So there are a few masters like Seamus that just need to go out of their keyword to really function well.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. There are a few that I can think of here and there in the factions that I play, but I think that Seamus is probably the worst offender.
I think it just forces you to play him differently in a way that you wouldn't have thought. And I think that this keyword specific tournament style thing is it's good for looking at those keywords, and like where you had thought you had to play them one way, you can figure out, well, you know what, I could have played it this way, and it just does a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it gets you out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, a master like Seamus being a good example. I mean, if somebody were playing Seamus for the first time and had never played Resers at all, maybe never even played against Seamus, then the inclination would be take the guy with the big gun, take maybe the carrying emissary to get some, zombies upfield, and then just take Dead Rider and Ashura and blah 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 blah, and just not even worry about doing all the games that you need to do with like the dandies and the bells and so on and so forth.
And there is some cool synergy within his keyword. Like, if you get a couple of his models close to something and you can, kind of cascade attacks back and forth and do some fun stuff. But it's not beginner play. Like the beginner play is, like you just said, take the rider, take the emissary, just shoot things.
Yeah, and I think it also brings into sight the element of we have 7 rounds where we know what the strategies are, we know what the schemes are, so we have to place the masters in the right spots, and just some masters are just going to be better at stuff than other masters are.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on where you're dropping them and when, and there's a whole strategy behind it. So
yeah, especially considering we are using schemes and strategies from GG 0, 1, and 2, so that adds a lot of weirdness to the mix.
Especially since some of those like GG0 and GG1s didn't even have a concept of titles,
or a concept of explorers.
Yeah, it's like a whole new world with those strategies, because those things didn't exist. So it'll be interesting to see.
That was actually one of the next things I was going to bring up before we got to matchmaking, was that, because we have 8 rounds, trying to make balanced and non-repetitive pools out of GG2 for 8 rounds would be difficult. So what Kyle did was he actually put together stuff actually going all the way back to core rulebook. I think there might even be one that was before GG0. Nope. Okay. Everything is GG0 on forward. So, yeah, and one thing that we did just to alleviate any confusion is, since we can access all of these schemes in the app now, which is fantastic, it was great timing for us doing this, we would always default to the version of a scheme or strategy that showed up when you hit show all in the app, just because there were some slight changes for certain schemes going from GG1 to GG2 or 0 to 1, Vendetta being a good example. They made it so that you could choose a model that was the same cost instead of having to cost more. So we always use the most updated version of that scheme. And then we have, obviously there are some people that are going to potentially be able to play some of these games live. Most of the games are going to get played on Vassal. So we don't have fixed maps for each of these rounds like Malifaux World Series does. What a lot of us have been doing is we've just been asking the group to just come up with a random number if we're doing a Vassal game, and then we'll just go to whatever number map that is, which has made for some fun times so far for the games that have been played. Yeah, for sure. So I guess at this point we can kind of just get into the draft. So Adam, you want to start us off? You can just tell us what your draft team ended up being.
Yeah, so I ended up getting last in the draft, and I don't know if everybody listening has. I'm sure some people do, but I don't know if everybody does. Concept of the snake draft, and I've done a lot of fantasy football, so I tend to find that being last is not really a detriment because you get back-to-back picks, which means you can generally get something solid out of your first pick, and then you have a stud second pick right after that. In this instance, I ended up going with Nekaba with my first pick, strictly because I've been toying with Nekama on some stuff, and I wanted to make sure I could get a hold of her before somebody else did. And then for my guild's pick, I decided to pick Hoffman, also because I haven't had played Hoffman 2 yet in guild, and I wanted to see if I could get the chance. But now looking at where he is, I might not even do Hoffman 2. I might just do Hoffman 1.
You're playing him against Jesse.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So what else did you get for your stable, Adam?
Round 3, my third round pick, I ended up getting Colette. My fourth round pick, I ended up getting Karai.
So crazy.
My fifth round pick, I got Basaki. My sixth round pick, I got Jedza. My seventh round pick, I got Summer. And my eighth round pick, I got Hamlin.
Yeah, so, I mean, pretty damn strong, I would say.
That's
I mean,
strong.
you have great picks straight through until Summer, who is still a good master. He's just difficult to play. And then Hamlin very well, so, I mean, I'd say you get a pretty good fucking stable of masters, Adam.
Yeah, I'm not disappointed with him, for sure. Honestly, if I had to pick my least favorite master out of that bunch, it would be Summer.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's the weakest of that bunch.
Yeah.
That was an auto pick by the looks of it.
Yeah, it was defaulted.
It was defaulted.
It was, and I think when I got deep enough in and people started snatching up the Bayou Masters, I'll be completely honest with you. I didn't care who I got for Bayou because once Ma was gone and once Zip was gone, I was like, that's going to be an auto loss round for me. So I'm just gonna take what gets to me, and then I'll plug it into a matchup that I feel like they're gonna power play into me. Just because that's probably one I'm gonna give up, and I think I put it in the right matchup.
Yeah.
Did you have a general strategy going into this, Adam? Or certain masters that you just really wanted, or factions you didn't care about, or anything like that?
So I've played a lot of the factions just throughout. In third, I've played Guild, I've played Arcanist, I've played Neverborn, I've played Outcast. So as long as I got somebody I knew from those, I thought it would be okay. When it came to Rezzers, I mean, you can't go wrong with Karai.
No, she's the best.
Yeah, you just can't. I mean, you Karai 1, Karai 2. I mean, you're pretty solid. And Colette, I know Colette forward and backward, and I think she's just super bonkers good in GG2.
Yep. She is insane.
Yeah.
Colette 2 is off the hook.
Yeah, she's ridiculous. And then I was looking at Misaki, and Misaki was one of my very first masters when I started playing Malifaux back in second edition, and I was curious how her playstyle was in 3, and I'm looking at her, and the more I look at her, the more I love her.
Well, Jesse's been playing a lot of Misaki. You guys haven't played recently?
No, I haven't played his...
No,
I haven't played
he hasn't played against my Misaki at all. Yeah, it's kind of funny because, I've been playing, to Jake's point, I've been playing a lot of Misaki, and I'm sitting here at one point, and we're just chatting on Messenger, all three of us, and Adam is talking about the stuff that he's looking at in the keyword, and he's like, the more I look at her, the more I think I'm in love. And I'm like,
she's crazy.
It's because she's really good.
Mm-hmm.
She's just cool. She's just like, cool. Poof, there she is. Poof, there she is. You know, it's like, which is really
For
cool.
real. You're going to have a good time with her.
Yeah, I
sure.
dig her. And I think I put her into a good matchup too. So,
yeah,
but
sure.
ultimately, when I was looking through once I had my pool and I was looking through what the strats were and everything like that, I could pretty much find a home for all of them. So I was happy with that.
Yeah, I think you got some great picks for sure. And were there any of them that you were really surprised that you got, especially once you got later into the draft?
I did not think for a second that Karai was going to make it to round 4.
That's crazy.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I did not for a second expect that.
Although
I thought
you had first pick in round 4 because it's a snake draft.
Yeah, but even then, how did she not go round 1 or 2?
Yeah, it's true.
Like for me, she would have been. For me, I thought for sure she would have been like top 5.
Well, to be honest, though, I mean, I don't think everyone who's doing this draft is hyper competitive about it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think a lot of people are playing the masters that they necessarily think are the best masters in the game. I mean, I know I didn't make my picks that way, and just looking at some of the other masters that went in round 1 and 2, I mean, they're good, but I wouldn't look at that and say that's the 10 best masters. So I think it's just, the thing is, it's just people aren't being hyper competitive. They're saying, I want to play things that are fun.
I don't know. I mean,
or that I haven't tried.
I mean, look at some of them. You got Lynch.
Lynch is the best.
Lynch 2.
Yep.
Brewmaster 2.
Yeah,
Tara,
and like
Leviticus. Yeah. Ma. I mean, those aren't slouches,
I think the first round picks were pretty strong. And I know that Sam picked Brewmaster first round because he didn't want me to get Brewmaster.
But he's also super comfortable.
And he's super comfortable with him. So it was perfect for him. He got the master he wanted the most in Bayou, and he kept me off of that same master. So perfect. And then I feel like all the other first round picks were pretty good. Same
first round's pretty good.
Picks.
Second round picks are, I mean, they're good, but they're not the best. Like Euripides, Maxine, Yoko, Perdita, Zip, Cooper, Janlo, Hoffman.
Yeah, I was surprised that Maxine got picked, but I know that
definitely
Maxine 2 is pretty strong. Cooper, I was very surprised about. Euripides, I'm not surprised at all because Euripides 2 is bananas. Like, totally off the chain bananas. Yeah. Anyway, so before we start going through every single round, because that'll.
But my point is just, I don't think everyone is being hyper competitive about it.
Right. I mean, this is a great opportunity for people to flex and play stuff that they have been interested in for a while, but just don't have the models for. So I think that plays into a lot of the decision making for sure.
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah. So just going up the list, Jacob, you'd be the next of us on there. Well, so what did you get for your? Oh, go ahead.
Adam. Why don't we do like they do in the fantasy drafts? Grade. Why don't we grade each other's drafts?
Oh, sure.
Like A, B, C, D. Sure. Whatever it may be.
Yeah. You want to do it as we go? We can do that.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll go. We can go over one person's thing and then do it.
Adam's list is an A. I mean, it's 6 top tier masters at least. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think it's the best possible list that I can imagine, and only having one master that's kind of a dud is pretty amazing.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, Hamlin's tough, especially since like the nerf to Hamlin. He's a little more difficult, and I'm not thrilled with Hamlin too.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call him a dud just because I know that you know how to pilot him really well.
Yeah, I would say Colette is top notch. Karai is top notch. Hoffman
into the right pools, he is definitely top notch.
Hoffman, Misaki, and Jedza, I would put like at a B. Maybe a high B. Nekama's unproven yet for me as far as maybe Nekama 2. Nekama 1, we know what it is. Nekama 2, I'm still kind of not sold on yet. So she'd probably be like a B minus somewhere around there. And then Summer, I don't know. I can't even gauge him. And Hamlin is probably like a C minus for me. So I would say it would be a high B, a low A for me personally.
So you'd give yourself like a B plus maybe?
Yeah, B plus, A minus, right around there. Somewhere in that.
Yeah. I was going to go A minus for you.
Yeah.
Just for the same reasons that you just mentioned. I think that your strong masters are going to carry your your weaker masters.
I think I think I have a bunch of masters where in the right pools they're A's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. So that said, Jake, what did you get for your pool?
All right. So, as I said, I kind of went with masters for the most part that I've always wanted to try. And I'm pretty happy with the selection. I also specifically ignored Arcanist and Rezzers because I feel pretty comfortable with the whole faction. So I left those till the end because I kind of didn't care who I got. There's no Rezzer or Arcanist master that I wouldn't have wanted to play. So I got Leviticus first, Zip second, and then Lucius Guild version, Nexus, Pandora, Neverborn version. Then I got Mei Fang Arcanist, Riva Rezzers, and McCabe Ten Thunders, which was at default.
Cool. So yeah, I mean, I would say, I think you got a pretty good pool. Are there any masters in there that you maybe aren't super thrilled about getting?
Well, they just kind of nerfed Nexus, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But it just the idea of Nexus has always been cool to me. I've always wanted to try it out, and I don't see myself starting that faction, so I don't see that happening. So it's a good opportunity to do that. McCabe, I mean, it is not the 10 Thunder Master I would have picked. Honestly, I'm just more interested in most of the other ones. The only one I wanted less was Shenlong, just because I don't want to try to learn his mechanics. But so I'm not crazy about McCabe. And that's probably it, though.
I tell you what, you got the right McCabe, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, McCabe. I find McCabe to 10 Thunders better than Explorers. Personally.
Yeah.
Just because of the options like that he can take.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of
Jake
good...
and I were kind of talking about that. Just, the differences between them, the hiring pool differences. Obviously, Explorer Society McCabe doesn't really have access to big, beefy minions because Explorer Society just doesn't really have them. And 10 Thunders do. Imagine that. They have Samurai, they have Joragumo, they have they have good stuff. So they kind of enable him to be able to make some super beaters that run up the field. And they simplify the play, which we'll get to in a couple of minutes, because guess who got Explorer Society McCabe? This guy.
Also a default, right?
Also a default.
Yeah,
for sure. So same question. Yeah. Same question that I had for Adam. Were there any masters that you got kind of mid or late draft that you were surprised were still on the table?
Mei Fang.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people sleep on her. They don't realize how good she is. I mean, and after playing on the other side of the table against her, I think even higher of her now. I don't want to sound crazy, but I think Mei Fang is one of the best masters. When I say master, I mean with her keyword. They do everything, and they do it very well. So to see her go till round 6 is kind of nuts.
Yeah, especially because you've been playing a lot of Mei Fang lately, and you've played a lot of Riva. So for you to be able to get those as your round 6 and 7 picks, where they're masters you're very familiar with, is fantastic.
I kind of lucked out with Riva. I mean, I get it. I do think that she is. I think where she got picked in the order of Rezzers is probably accurate to the power level of Rezzers. I think that Seamus and Riva are the bottom of the Rezzer power structure, but that's because she's a really hard master to play correctly, and I really enjoy playing her, so I was very happy to see her still available. I had my choice between Riva and Seamus because that's all that was left. So I was very happy with that, but I'm not surprised that she wasn't taken until the end. I get that. I was very surprised that Pandora was available round 5.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. The fact that you got Nexus and Pandora in round 4 and 5,
yeah,
pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty funny because when you look at the picks, like the picking order, so we had two Neverborn get picked in round one. I took Zoraida and Adam took Nekoma. Then we had Maeve take Euripides in round two, and then there were no Neverborn picks at all for round three or round four, which I found pretty interesting.
It's
And
funny
then
though.
the way that
Yeah.
it worked, so you were actually the first the first Neverborn pick in round five, and then right after you picked Pandora, Kyle took Dreamer, and then Brian took Titania.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense, right? Because as soon as Pandora gets picked, it's like, okay, I better get Dreamer or Titania before I'm stuck with Marcus and Lucius.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Cool. So, Jake, how would you grade your stable of masters?
B plus. I don't know. Levy is really, really good. However, I'll tell you right now, I'm playing Levy too. The whole reason I took Levy is because we've been talking about this stupid rider list and I want to try it. Probably not the best play. I mean, maybe if it's late in the draft and I'm doing really well, I'll go with Levy 1 so I can actually win the game. But I don't know. I think most of these masters are in the B plus range. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, I don't really see any weak picks in here for you, except for maybe Guild Lucius. I would say he's probably the weakest in your stable. I do think that Thunder's McCabe is better than Guild Lucius. But other than that, I feel like you got pretty good masters. So I think B plus is where I'd land.
Yeah. I really wanted Hoffman, Guild Hoffman, but somebody took him, Adam.
Womp womp.
Yeah.
So what about you, Adam? How do you think Jake did?
I think it's a fairly solid draft. I mean, Zip's always good, like all the time, no matter what. I would say Lucius is also probably the weakest of his picks. I know what Mayfang can do, especially Mayfang 2 with Jake at the helm. I know Pandora, back and forth. So I know what she can do in the right matchups. Nexus, my only concern with Nexus is that if you don't know Nexus, it can be kind of a puzzle to solve.
We might play that one live instead of on Vassal so that we don't end up with a 6-hour game.
With a lot of things to remember. I mean, I think it's a pretty solid crew, and I think in right matchups, I think your experience with your weaker masters, like Riva, for example, is going to be to your benefit, considering the other player probably doesn't know theirs, which means you can still pull out a victory with it. So I would put it at like a solid B. Yeah.
Cool. So I guess we'll move on to me. So my picks were round 1, I got Neverborn Zoraida. Round 2, I got Perdita. Round 3, Asami. Round 4, Parker. Round 5, I got Rezer Jackdaw. Round 6, I got Sandeep. Round 7, I got Ophelia. And then round 8, I got Explorer Society McCabe. So we got kind of a motley crew there for sure. As far as strategy, so my plan going into this draft was I knew that if I got the chance, I wanted to take Zoraida first, because I'm very comfortable with Zoraida. I've played her a number of times, and I wanted to take Neverborn Zoraida because I can basically play a Bayou crew with Neverborn Zoraida and feel very comfortable with it. Plus, I get the benefit of having some of the Neverborn big hitters like the Rider and so on and so forth if I want to take them. And I don't really feel comfortable with basically any of the other Neverborn masters. I have some experience against most of them, but I've certainly never played them. So I wanted to stick with what I knew was a strong choice. And also I wanted to keep other people off of Neverborn Zoraida. For the rest of it, I just picked stuff that I was either comfortable with, or if I hadn't played them before, I wanted to pick stuff that was going to be simple to play. So hence the Perdita pick. Like I felt like I had a good grasp on how the crew works. Um, I've played against Perdita 1 a couple of times, and Perdita 2 is certainly stronger, but uses the same sort of play style. So I wanted something that I could be very comfortable running for the first time. Same idea with the Parker pick. Basically, once Levy got taken, I knew that Parker was probably going to be my second choice because I think that he's low key the best master in Outcasts, especially for a newer player. So I wanted to see if I could snag him, and I did. So I'm pretty happy about that. Jackdaw, I've played against a lot. Adam has played Jackdaw a lot. So has Jake, and I've played against Jackdaw with Chris O'Brien and then a few other locals. So I feel like I have a very good handle on the way that the crew works, and getting Reser Jackdaw, I feel pretty good about. Sandeep was sort of a tail end of the draft pick for me. I have played against him a few times, so I felt like I had a decent idea of how he plays, but I was a little worried about that one because he is complicated. And then I ended up with my last round pick of Ophelia. Honestly, it was between Ophelia and Summer, and I just stuck Adam with Summer because I didn't want to have to deal with him. So you're welcome for that. But then in turn, I got stuck with McCabe with Explorer Society. So.
Do you think Ophelia got left in the draft so late because of the most recent errata? Do you think people are just afraid of her?
Absolutely. I feel like the perception is that she's not that good anymore, which I don't agree with at all. She certainly got toned down a little bit, but her keyword is still really strong. And if I decide that I don't want to take Francois, I don't feel like I'm going to be penalized for it.
Yeah, I feel like if this draft had been done pre-errata, she would have been the first one picked.
She probably would have been.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know about the first. I think Matak's always the first value master.
And Brew 2 is really strong.
Yeah, but she would have been way up there. I think she would have.
But the thing is, Ophelia, I feel like Ophelia is a lot easier for someone who doesn't play Bayou to fall into it and figure it out.
Sure, I guess. Yeah. I guess it depends on who's picking it when. But I mean, top 3, I could definitely see being Brewmaster for Brew 2, Matak, and Zip. So those were the first 3.
Which was the order. Yeah.
I feel like those are always probably the first 3 value masters, just because they're like Matucket is extremely easy to play, and she's super powerful,
and she's versatile. Okay. She can do a lot.
She can do whatever
things.
She wants. Yeah. And then like Zip is not necessarily the easiest to play, but he is very strong. And then Ophelia, I feel like Ophelia is very strong, but I mean, it took me a lot of games to get comfortable with her because it's very easy to make mistakes and paint yourself into corners with her. If you're not really good with your resource management, then you can screw yourself. If you're not really good with your positioning, you can be in a bad spot and out of range. Like, I don't feel like she's that easy to play.
The other thing I guess we should mention too is that a lot of these vassal maps have a ridiculous amount of terrain on them.
That's a good point.
So I could see that being an issue for her.
Absolutely. There's a lot of like concealing clouds of fog and just a ton of blocking terrain to give cover, and like she's one of the only shooting crews in the game that the master doesn't really have any way to get around all that stuff. Like she can get around friendly fire, but she can't ignore cover, she can't ignore concealment, she doesn't have easy access to focus, so all that stuff really 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 hurts her a lot. So
she has stones.
But she has stones. She does.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think? Where would you grade my draft picks?
So I'm looking at it, and this is what I see. I see Zoraida, which you know, right? And then I see Perdita shooting, and then I see Asami summoning, and then I see Parker shooting, and then I see Jackdaw, which you know, and then I see Sandeep summoning, and then I see Ophelia shooting, and then I see McCabe, which is kind of a throwaway. So I kind of see a theme with your picks. It's shoot it off the table or summon, and both of those things are pretty strong in Malifaux. So I think honestly, you kind of have a very dark horse draft, and I think it has the potential to get you a pretty decent amount of wins. But a lot of it is like skill level stuff like that. Some of them just need like some unlocking. Like Sandeep's tough if you haven't played him before. He takes a lot of unlocking. McCabe, I love you, but McCabe is likely a loss.
I have a plan for the game, but we'll get into that after.
I hope you
the
do.
next recording.
But I mean, Ophelia's solid for you. I think you have a pretty solid draft. I would probably call it a B, maybe. Yeah, I would say honestly, I'd say maybe a B minus, but we'll go with a B.
Ooh, B minus.
Only because like you don't have anybody, you don't have any studs in there. You know what I mean? Like you don't have that ace pitcher. You know what I mean? Like you have a lot of really solid hands, and then you have a couple of weaker hands. So I think what would be a solid B just gets knocked down a bit.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What about you, Jake? What do you think?
I think that your picks, more than Adam and I, your picks are very dependent on your pool. More so than we are. You have a lot of masters that can really excel at certain pools, and if they're in the wrong game, they're gonna suck. So it's either, I'd say that this is either a C plus or an A minus, depending on how you pick your matches.
Awesome. And
yeah.
we'll get to that. We'll get to that because at this point we all have all of our matches picked for the whole league, so we'll go over those afterwards.
Yeah. I'd say the one that I worry about the most for you is Jackdaw, because he is an amazing until he's horrible. And you get him into the wrong matchup and he is a piece of shit.
I feel like literally he's the Ophelia of Rezzers.
He could really he can be countered real hard.
He can. And because of the nature of this draft, you don't have a lot of, you're not going to have a good idea of what your opponent's going to pick unless you take him into like round 7. So
but also to be fair, you're limited in taking things that can counter him if you're not in the right keyword.
True. Yeah. But it's kind of just a roll of the die or flip of the card, right? Like whether or not you get a good matchup with him is kind of random.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah,
for sure. So yeah, I can agree with that. I think the C minus or would you say C plus or A minus?
yeah.
I can agree with that. I think the only, so to answer my own questions, masters that I'm not super thrilled with, I think frankly the only ones that I'm not super thrilled with are Sandeep, but I think I can make Sandeep work. I think I have a decent understanding of how the keyword plays. And then Explorer Society McCabe, I'm really scratching my head with that one. And Foreshadowing, I ended up with a pretty tough match there. So I'm really probably overthinking that game a little bit. I should just chalk it up to a loss. And then Masters that I'm surprised lasted that far. I think Ophelia, I am very surprised that some other Masters got picked ahead of her. But then looking at the pick order, I think they kind of make sense. So basically, when it comes to Bayou, we had Sam, who was the second pick in round 1, went with Brewmaster, which is not surprising for the reasons we already mentioned. Kyle picked Ma Tucket, again, not surprising. Jake got Zip in round 2. And then Brian got Zoraida Bayou in round 3. And then we didn't have any more Bayou picks until round 7. And I believe we started off round 7 with Ulix with Maeve, who I know is very comfortable with her. And then Jim was the next one, and he picked, it was between Wong, Ophelia, and Summer. And I'm not sure how comfortable he is with Wong and Ophelia, but he went with Wong. Which
you know what that says to me, looking at the way that went down? That says to me that Brewmaster, Matucket, Zip It, and Zoraida were all masters that people wanted, and once they're gone, a lot of people said, "Fuck it, I don't care what I get."
Pretty much.
Correct. That's exactly what I did with Bayou.
Yeah, and I feel like Maeve probably took Ulix so that I wouldn't take Ulix, because we both have played Ulix quite a bit,
and Ulix 2 is good,
and Ulix 2 is very good. Yeah, there you go.
Did you guys take any picks like partially to block people or anything like that?
My Neverborn Zoraida pick was definitely to lock other people out of that master.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Because Neverborn Zoraida in general is a nightmare. And I didn't want to have to deal with potentially playing two of them. And Neverborn Zoraida, I think, is probably the better version. I mean, the Lucky Emissary with Zoraida is pretty fucking bananas, but it's not a rider. So, yeah.
I picked.
What about you, Jake? Oh, Adam, go ahead.
That's okay. I mean, I picked Colette so nobody else could get Colette, but that wasn't just to like stop anybody in particular from.
But also because she's amazing.
It's
right?
because she's really good, and I don't have to deal with Colette.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But as far as specifically picking something so nobody else did, not really. I mean, that was going through when I saw Colette and Karai on the board. I'm like, I'm gonna snatch these two so I don't have to fight Karai and Colette, and that was really all it was. That's all it came down to for me.
That was one thing that really surprised me. So there were no Arcanist picks at all in round 1 and round 2. And then Sam had the first Arcanist pick in round 3 with Karis, which left you open to snatch up Colette. I was shocked that she hadn't been picked in rounds 1 or 2.
Yeah, I could not for the life of me figure out why, especially with some of the other picks in round 1 and round 2. I'm like, why was it not Colette? I don't understand.
For real. Maybe it's just because people realize that she's a complicated master to play.
Or even Karai, but like, why not Karai?
Yeah.
How does Karai get to round 4? I don't understand that for the life of me.
That's maddening.
Well, I mean, I can't say what other people were thinking, but with Colette and Karai, like I said, I specifically didn't take either of those factions because I kind of was okay with anyone. So
yeah.
But I mean, as we were doing the draft, I saw that. I'm like, wow, Colette's still in there. Karai's still in there. That's crazy. But I was kind of just like, I want to focus on getting the masters I want, and then we'll take whatever's left in Arcanist and Rezzers.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of my idea too. Like, I left my Bayou pick until I absolutely had to make a choice on it. And then I waited on I thought I was going to be able to wait on my Thunders pick a little bit longer, but Lynch, Yoko, and Yan Lo all got picked before I got my opportunity to grab one. So at that point, it was Asami and Misaki, and I feel like I probably should have picked Misaki. I feel like that was a mistake on my part, just because I'm very familiar with her. But I am very familiar with Asami, too. I've played her quite a few times, so we'll just see how that pans out.
Asami is so good.
She is very good.
I'll tell you what I did do is I purposely didn't pick an Outcast Master because I had assumed that Hamlin was going to be last. and I was okay with that because I kind of thought I had a home for him in regards to the schemes and strats. So I purposely didn't pick an Outcast Master, not because I wasn't okay with whoever I was going to get, but because I figured it was going to be Hamlin.
Yeah. The other one that I did was I did stall my Outcast pick for a while, because once I saw Tara and Lebby go in round 1, I was kind of push it a little bit and see if I could wait as long as I could to snatch up Parker before Brian did, because I know Brian is very comfortable with Parker. And I actually, he was very audible in his distaste for my Parker pick, because I think he was planning on grabbing him that same round.
I think we should go through the rounds, just do a quick overview of the strategy and schemes, and then who we dropped into it and who we're facing. And I think maybe if we can do just a rapid fire, quick response kind of hot take, who do you think was going to win?
Yeah, for sure. So we'll do that. I just put a little edit note in so we can trim around this. So
Sorry, I stepped away, but I did hear what Adam just said.
Totally fine. So
are we going to mention that we've already played some of the games, or no?
No, we'll just skip that.
Okay.
We'll just skip that.
Pretend.
So make believe land here. All right, so that's kind of how the draft picks laid out. We won't go through everybody else's draft picks. We will post a screenshot, and we've already done so on the Facebook page and on the Discord channel. But we'll post them in the episode as well, so you can take a look at how the standings, the draft picks look rather, for all the other players involved. As far as the matches, we'll just quickly go through each one, and we'll talk about what we picked and what we ended up pairing against. Because one little quick spoiler alert here, all of the masters for the entire draft league have already been picked in terms of, what round they're going to be played into. We all kind of got ahead of the game and did that early. So it does get away a little bit from saying, we're all going to pick round one. And then after round one's done, we can pick round two so that we can see what people are picking sequentially. But just because the number of rounds, we're not playing them in order. So it's not like we're all playing round one this week and then round two next week. Basically, we have all of the pairings set out, and then we can play them as we go. And we can coordinate time with our opponents, just because schedules and all that. So that said, we'll start with round one. We have a GG2 pool here with Turf War, Flank, Assassinate, Hidden Martyrs, Research Mission, Breakthrough, and Catch and Release. Let's see here. I ended up with Sandeep versus Jim's Rasputina. Adam ended up with his Misaki versus Brian's Ironsides. And Jake ended up with his Bayou Zip versus Kyle's 10 Thunders Mei Fang. So how are you guys feeling about that round, Adam? What do you think?
I think I'm solid in that round. Looking at all of these, this is the one I want Misaki in. I think she can do several of the schemes well. I think her crew is mobile enough to do turf war well. I have a couple ideas on how I want to build it to play turf war the way I want to play it. So I think I'm pretty good into that round.
Yeah, she has such a versatile keyword. Like she can, you were kind of taking a look at the models, but she can kind of flex more or less any way that she wants. And I would agree. I think you have the edge that one in that round, because like Thunders in general are pretty darn good against Ironsides. I don't think that Brian takes Ironsides 1 in that match, because that would just be suicide. I'm pretty sure he has to play Ironsides 2.
Yeah, it kind of forces him to play into something, and then it doesn't change my game plan either way, because I can still take the same stuff, but It just means that if he takes Ironsides 1, it should be a very good game for me. And if he takes, but knowing that if I can plan for Ironsides 2.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really change anything.
Yeah, kind of the big thing with Ironsides 2 is that, if you tech into Ironsides 1 and you take like the double upgrade to give you Relentless, then it's sort of wasted a little bit against Ironsides 2, but that's really the only thing that I can think of.
And even then, it's 4 stones, whereas it's 4 stones of forcing him to take another master.
Exactly. So not the worst thing in the world.
Correct. And it still has its uses. So
yeah, for sure. Jake, how do you feel about your round one?
I feel pretty good about it. I almost took Arcanist Mei Fang into this pool because it's very good for Mei Fang. So when Kyle took Mei Fang, I was not surprised. I think Mei Fang is the better pick out of our game. But that being said, I know his master very well. I'll have to just look at some of the possible stuff he could take out of 10 Thunders, because I'm not as familiar with that. But I know his master well, so I know how to counter it. I need to destroy his scrap so that he isn't super mobile. And there's definitely stuff in the pool that I can score easily with Zip. Research Mission is so fucking easy with Zip. And Breakthrough as well. On Flank, Breakthrough with Zip is pretty good. Mei Fang is going to be moving up, so she's not going to be staying near the deployment zone. So pretty confident about scoring the schemes. But Mei Fang is, like I said, in my opinion, one of the best masters. So it'll be tough.
Cool. Yeah, I would say I do think that Mei Fang probably has the edge in that matchup. Zip is very, very strong, but Mei Fang's ability, especially to use like Ride the Rails, can really hamper Zip's ability to lock models down.
Yep.
Especially since it's not that free action, right? Like it's just the front of card, do your thing.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
so none of his debuff stuff really works. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I almost took Mei Fang. Turf War is really good for Mei Fang because her crew does not die. I would specifically Mei Fang 2 for this one. But that the crew just isn't going to die,
Yeah.
So
How goofy would that have been? A Mayfang 2 versus Mayfang 2 match?
it would have been crazy because the scrap would have been so insane.
Bananas. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, and then for mine, I got Sandeep versus Raspy. I feel pretty good about this match. I feel like Sandeep, I kind of put together a crew that I feel like has some good counterattack and a lot of good scoring potential in this round. I do feel like 4 Winds Golem is the make or break model in this match. Like, if that model hadn't come out and Raspy had been eroded the way that she was, I would probably be sweating a little bit because I can't leverage my own ice pillars for benefit. Basically, any ice pillar that I put down is going to be a problem for me because it turns into an arc node for Raspy and causes all sorts of negative side effects.
I think one of the best things you have going is that your ice golem can just destroy every ice pillar with his bonus action and heal himself to full.
Yep.
Yeah, Reform from Ice is going to be huge that game.
Yep.
So, I mean, the list that I'm thinking about playing is basically summoning in an Ice Golem and hiring in a Metal Golem and a 4 Winds Golem, and then Season to Taste.
Yeah, you always hire in those more expensive golems just because you can summon in the cheaper ones.
The ones with the more expensive gammon.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, that 4 Winds Golem, the Eye of the Storm or whatever it's called, the thing that reduces range damage by 2.
Oh, that's
in a
huge
3-inch aura on a 50 mil model, it's going to basically lock Raspy into just doing her shockwave. Like, I don't really expect Raspy to do very much damage all game.
But the thing to keep in mind, Jesse, is that he has Eye of the Storm as well.
Yeah.
So you're both not going to be doing damage at range.
Well, I mean, sort of. So I thought about that too. So I figured that what I would probably end up doing with Sandeep's AP is he's probably going to end up walking, summoning a Poison Gammon, blowing it up, which is not affected by Eye of the Storm, and then shooting a key model and going for the stun trigger on his ranged attack and not caring about the damage. So basically, I'm doing irresistible explosions with poison, and then I'm stunning a model a turn.
Yep. One little tip too is you can summon a Metal Gammon, blow that up, and then get yourself some scrap so that your Iron Golem can ride the rails and get into combat.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, you can move pretty quick because your Iron Golem will drop his own scrap at the end of turn 1, and then turn 2 he's 12 inches away.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, poison bombs are so good though.
Yeah,
they're pretty effing strong. Yeah.
It's
especially against armor crews because it's a ping of 2 and then a ping of 1, so it actually turns into 2 damage.
Correct.
Plus the poison. That's good.
I think in this matchup, Raspy relies on the ice pillars. You do not. So Raspy kind of has to feed you those pillars. That's just going to strengthen your golem. So your destruction of those pillars is more valuable to you. I guess what I'm trying to say is those pillars being destroyed is more detrimental to Raspy than it is to you.
I think he needs to take Raspy too, because she doesn't really rely on the pillars. Because between the Ice Golem and the Soulstone Miner, you're gonna just keep the board clean.
Yeah. I mean, for sure, I'm gonna take a Soulstone Miner, absolutely. So between those two models, yeah, and then I don't think that I can really take Sandeep too, because like his shtick is that if he's attacking a model that's near a marker, he gets +1 damage. But then all of his models that matter are either going to have Eye of the Storm to reduce damage by 2, Armor 2 with the Ice Golem, or they're going to be Raspy. They can just pick up a marker or reduce damage to 0. So I don't think that Sandeep's shtick of attacking models that are near markers is really going to do anything.
Yeah. Raspy 2 gives you a lot of trouble because her attack is a melee attack, which she can do through the Cultgeists, so she doesn't care about that. She can summon, which will help her. She's going to get a bunch of shielding on all of her stuff. I think Raspy 2 is the way to go.
Yeah, if it ends up being a Sandeep 1 versus Raspy 2 game, it's going to be it could go either way for sure. I feel like if it's Sandeep 1 versus Raspy 1, I probably have a pretty solid edge.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Raspy 1 is the one that just got buffed, so I would venture to guess it's going to be Raspy 1.
Probably. Right,
and
cool.
you can take research mission on ice pillars.
Sure can. There's certainly going to be research mission in the pool, probably for both of us that game. Yeah. So moving on to round 2, we've got plant explosives. This is a GG0 pool, by the way. Plant explosives, standard deployment, take prisoner, deliver a message, vendetta, claim jump, harness the ley lines. I ended up with, let's see here, my Explorer Society McCabe versus Sam's Rezzers gone low.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, you're fucked.
Yeah, that's bad. Jake ended up with his Arcanist Mayfang versus Brian's Bayou Zoraida. And then Adam ended up with his Karai versus Kyle's Arcanist Marcus. So, Adam, why don't you start?
I fully 100% expect Marcus 2. I'm playing Karai. I think I should have that game. Just because Marcus is... Traditionally, they have very low willpower. If I take Karai 2, I'm going to abuse that. If I take Karai 1, I'm probably still going to abuse that. And just... She just moves so many things so far, and the pool really fits her. I think it's a plus matchup for Karai. Honestly, I know Marcus 2 is kind of the new hotness and everything, but I do feel that it's a plus matchup for Karai.
Yeah, I feel like it. So like Marcus 2, he does have the little mini gravity well aura, which is kind of annoying, but it's only a 4-inch range, so I feel like you can play around that without that much difficulty. The only thing that I would say you really need to worry about if you play Karai 2 is just that he does have very, very strong potential to like Alpha Strike Karai, so you probably need to take some spirits.
Yeah,
so hard.
But if you don't think there's not going to be stuff to take the hit for, you're crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, those Gwisten thing exists. You know, it's. I think if I play 1, she's fine. If I play 2, you got to have to take the hits. But otherwise, it's. I see Marcus 2 as a lot of a super solo kind of, and I think that I can take care of Marcus 2.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, Karai's going to punish a super solo master like that.
Yes, yeah. And then not only that, but
Akirio can take Marcus out in 1 activation.
Yeah, if I press it and there's nothing in the way. His severe terrain that he counts as around him, I don't care because it's all incorporeal. So I don't care about that. And I think that I can take some of these schemes that require me to move around and get to his models. I can take advantage of those. Also, if he's taking Marcus 2, you're not going to sit Marcus 2 back. You're going to get him in the mix and deliver messages in the pool. Yeah. So I mean, I can take advantage of some of those stuff too. And plant explosives. I mean, I'm moving my models everywhere, and it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would say you definitely have the edge in that matchup in my eyes. I mean, Karai is so strong, and Marcus is good, but I don't know if he's that good. What about you, Jake? Who do you think has the edge there?
I think it's Adam as well, but there's definitely a threat of the Alpha Strike because you have to play defensively to avoid the Alpha Strike because Karai 2, if you take Karai 2, that is, because she's so easy to kill if she doesn't have someone taking the hit for her. And what'll happen is Kojo will just run in there and throw you into his crew.
Yeah. I think
and he has willpower 7 too, which is no joke.
He is. But I think that especially with Karai, she can take a bunch of cheap models that can just clog lanes and just.
But they're incorporeal, so they're not clogging lanes.
They are, but you also can't land on them.
Mm-hmm.
So you can set your models up to where they're surrounding her, and you can't fit the base there. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
He has a lot of 50 mil bases, and you can easily stop him from
and
places.
that mini gravity well is a threat, but the thing that makes it not great on Marcus 2 in your particular game is that Marcus 2 is height 2 on a 40 mil base. A lot of his big stuff is 50 mil height 3, which means that you can summon in base contact with it without being in the line of sight.
Right. Just summon it on the other side of the model.
Yeah, for sure.
So, that might catch him off guard, when you're like, oh, make your willpower 4 check. You failed. I summon. And he's like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I definitely think that Kojo is the boogeyman in that game.
Yeah,
if you can deal with him, then I feel like you're going to be fine.
I do, too. I also, because of my games that I played at Captain Con, I think I know what I'm going to take as far as models out of keyword. And it's pretty solid and it's pretty nasty, and that'll help with the board control for sure.
Awesome. And then my game. Oh, go ahead.
Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it. Okay. Don't ruin it.
All right.
That's funny. And then my game, Explorers McCabe, my weakest master versus Rezer Yan Lo, probably one of Sam's strongest masters. Yeah, I'm not feeling great about this game. I'm really not. I have some sort of a plan in mind, but I am pretty much going to chalk this one up to a loss. What do you guys think? Do you think I stand any chance in hell?
No.
No, sorry, dude. Sam is a very solid player. And on top of that, if he takes Yanlo too, he is going to be fast as fuck. He's just going to score every point and yeah.
Yeah. So
it's trouble.
We'll leave it at that. I don't think I have a great chance in that game.
What is your game? I mean, you just got to take all horses. Like, what are you going to do? I don't understand what you can do.
I don't know.
Yeah, take all horses. Go for it. Give it a shot.
If he takes a beater crew, it doesn't matter that I can give my dudes armor ignoring and hard to kill ignoring or whatever it is. I'm just going to get ground down.
Armor ignoring is really solid on a Zamu, but is he going to take a Zamu?
I don't. Yeah, that's the thing is I don't think he takes a Zamu in this.
You don't take a Zamu against McCabe.
No, that's what I'm saying. You don't take it. So
and then it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. He's just so slow for what this pool is.
Well, that and McCabe can do no armor, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying there's multiple reasons. I mean,
I don't think Izamu can offer much to this particular pool besides killing shit to get their explosives. But
you said you got to see Manos.
Mm-hmm, definitely,
right?
Yeah,
you're going to see Manos,
and you're going to see the rider.
Yeah, and if you're playing 2, you're going to see Komanu.
A pair of them, yeah.
But that might play into McCabe because you can ignore their armor.
Yeah, I can kill.
That's true.
I can kill Komayunu pretty easily.
Yeah. But I mean, what's funny is Ashigaru are actually really solid minions that you just never see.
They are, yeah. Well, I think you see them more now with Yanlo too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you might actually see the Kamanu. You might see the Ashigaru over the Kamanu in this particular matchup.
Yeah, it's possible.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think you still lose.
I probably lose. Yeah,
pretty handily. Probably.
So round 3. Let's see here. So I have Perdita versus Maeve's Molly. Jake has Lucius versus Adams.
We didn't talk about Jake's round 2.
We did.
No, we didn't.
We didn't.
No, I don't think we did.
No, we didn't. We'll go back.
Right.
You know what? I'm not even gonna edit this out. I'm just gonna ride.
Suck. We'll just let everyone know that you suck.
We'll let everybody know that I suck. Round 2, Jacob. Mayfang Arcanist versus Bayou Zoraida. What you got?
So I feel pretty good about Mayfang's ability to score points in this game. Her crew, it can be super mobile, especially with Mayfang 2 dropping scrap at range. So getting the explosives down isn't a problem, and not dying so that I can get explosives down is also not a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not dying is also really good for deliver a message.
It's very good for deliver a message. Yeah.
Not dying is really good for take prisoner.
And deliver a message is probably pretty doable against Zoraida.
Yeah.
Because she tends to be sitting in the back with kind of no one around her, and I can just jump past people and deliver the message. Yeah, I feel pretty good about this game, and I feel like I know Zoraida pretty well just because you play her so much at him. I am a little afraid of Zoraida with Bayou, 12 cups of coffee, and nonsense like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. I think in Bayou, in this particular format, she might actually even be better in Bayou. But
I think so. And I think, the things I need to worry about are the out of keyword Bayou picks that Zoraida is going to be able to take. So either the emissary or gluttony, stuff that can, like gluttony can really screw me up because he's going to blow up a bunch of scrap while damaging my models, Yeah.
You know who else might? Oh, well, he's not playing Neverborn. I was gonna say if he was playing Neverborn and he took like something like Vasilisa or something, that would be nice because of all your scrap. Just use it against you and some of stuff.
True.
But he's not, so that's a.
I would not be at all surprised if he out of keyword sparks against you.
Yeah, I
guess that's you know what? Yeah, that's definitely the play. You're right. That's the best play. And if he does that, I have to kill Sparks. I have to kill him, which isn't hard. Sparks isn't that hard to kill. But he's got to go down really fast.
I mean, if I were him, I would probably take Sparks and Gluttony, or Sparks and the Emissary. Probably Sparks and the Emissary.
Yeah, I mean he's 100% going to try and use your rail column against you.
Well, Sparks command construct. He shuts off armor. He's got analyze weakness. He also has he can remove scrap as well. So he's got a lot of useful things he can do. Oh, and he makes my sparks not work.
Right. And the other cool thing about the emissary is people usually use it for scheming and marker removal, but it actually does have armor piercing on one of its triggers on like a 3-5-6 damage track.
Yeah.
So it's not built in, but yeah.
Well, definitely Sparks, and then either Gluttony or the emissary.
Yeah.
I'll see that.
What's nice with Zoraida 2 is that not Zoraida 2, but Zoraida also is that Zoraida can obey Sparks to use the analyze weakness. So you're getting
so you can get it twice.
So you can spam them,
Yeah. That helps because analyze weakness. The main problem there is like your activation order.
Yeah, and it uses an AP to do it, and then so it's tough. But if you can obey, it's worth it.
Yeah, and I mean he can obey with Zoraida on your rail column, and he can use Sparks to obey your rail column.
Well,
pretty rude.
Yeah. Well, I can. I mean, the other great thing about Sparks is he has hostile work environment. So if I can get him into position, it means Zoraida can't obey her own stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the downsides to taking Sparks out of keyword is that you often don't have a target for his bonus action because you're not also hiring in any other constructs. But against you, he can just target one of your dudes and then he has his bonus action back, which is pretty cool.
That's dirty, huh? That's dirty.
It's wicked good.
No, being able to target your golem to obey it, and then target Sparks to obey your golem. So you can really get like 3 activate. You can get 3 AP out of that golem in one turn.
It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Maybe I won't take a golem.
Awesome. All right, so now round 3 for real.
For reals.
So we already talked about what the picks were. Obviously, we'll go to you guys next, but I've got Perdita versus Maeve's Molly. I feel pretty good about this game. I workshopped the crew quite a bit, and I feel like Perdita 2 just dunks on Molly pretty hard.
I'll tell you what. I think Perdita into Molly 1 has always been kind of a solid matchup, simply because you don't have to ever do 2 of the same, because you can just bravado to get a move plus a focus and then take a shot. So it really, and even if you don't, even if you want to walk, you can always bravado, get the focus, and then walk. So you're not taking any of that incidental damage, which has always been pretty solid. And just generally, Molly's pretty weak against a solid shooting crew anyway. I've found.
Yeah, and Perdita 2 really locks Molly out of heavily utilizing like a rogue necro, because it can give out the blast persistent aura, so that your rogue necro is doing like 1 damage even if it necrotic decays on its ranged attack. Is pretty bad. So yeah, I feel pretty good about this one.
I think you've got a huge upper hand for all the reasons you guys just said. I think that Maeve's play here is if she goes really minion heavy and just tries to scheme, you're going to have trouble keeping up with her, especially if it's a vassal table with a lot of terrain where she can hide night terrors, and then, move up Krulligans with by your side. Like, she can score. She can easily have 3 points at the end of turn 2, and it's going to be hard for you to keep up with her activation control. You'll have to just kill things, and if it's a bad table and she's got enough stuff, that might be hard. I mean, I think you'll be fine, though. I think you have the tools to kill things. But it could be, if she does that, it could be a situation where she pulls ahead early, and then turn 4 she has no models left, and then you kind of clean up.
Yeah, because I mean, those night terrors are real solid for stuff like sabotage, and especially on, I mean, breakthrough. And don't they have inherent like anti-shooting mechanism?
They do. They have a concealing aura.
Yeah. So
and the thing that's kind of rude about that is, like, obviously the Perdita crew has tons of focus, so it kind of gets around the concealment to a degree. But
it's not positive shots now. Now you're just getting straight shots on it, which is
the other thing,
big deal.
Right. And the other thing, too, is that, like, the Perdita 2 summon trick, you can summon in a minion that gives you, like, an aura where your models within that aura ignore concealing terrain. But they don't ignore concealment. They just ignore concealing terrain. And the Night Terrors don't put out a terrain aura. They just put out concealment. So
that's funny.
I don't ignore that.
Because,
interesting.
Correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't Ivan's models put out concealing terrain?
Correct.
Do they count as concealing terrain?
Correct.
But these just say they have concealment.
Right. It's like kind of the same thing as sputtering exhaust on like Maris or Zip. Yeah,
gotcha.
Same idea. Yeah, for sure. So I feel pretty good about that game. I think you both feel pretty good about me taking that game. So let's talk about your game. You guys are playing against each other.
Oh, yeah.
Jacob's Lucius Guild versus Adam's Jedza. So without giving too much tech away, what do you guys feel?
What do you think, Adam?
I think I have Jedza in a pool that has let them lead and take prisoner.
I think you have Jedza in a pool that was designed before Jedza existed and would never fucking exist with Jedza now.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think breakthrough might be a problem for me. So I'll have to.
It's wedge though.
I know it's wedge.
Is easy for breakthrough.
I know it's wedge, which is better for you, but that means I have to take into consideration maybe some kind of backfield. I don't hate Lucius in it. I just think that I think he's right. I think it does kind of play into Jed's wheelhouse.
I think it's a good pool for Lucius. I do.
I don't hate him in it at all.
But it's that I'm against Jedza, because just going down the list here, like, well, recover evidence. I have to kill your shit. You have to recover evidence. That's a problem, right? Well, actually, yeah, and that's not as hard, to be honest. Getting it down to 1.
But then my stuff doesn't die, and then you can't get to it.
True, and it's kind of, you're spending AP just to drop those evidence markers, and then I need shit that can interact and well engaged.
Which you have.
I can get some, right? But it's a fucking hard. It's hard to score the strategy against Jedza, and then we've got Sabotage and Breakthrough, both marker dropping against Jedza, who can just eat markers.
Yeah.
And then we've got Let Them Bleed, which I mean, really?
Basically impossible. Yeah.
Do we even need to talk about that? And then catch and release and take prisoner, which is very interesting to have both of those in the pool because they're both, get your guy next to their guy type things.
Yeah.
Which means I have to go into your bubble. So it's a really fucking hard pool for me to score any points in.
Yeah, I think Adam probably wins this game.
I think so too.
Handily. I mean, like,
I don't know if it's handily.
It's a good pool for. I think it's handily. So it's a good pool for Lucius, but it's a great pool for Jezza, and she just outclasses him in every way. In this matchup.
The problem is I don't know how. I can see how Lucius too can kind of get around it, if I'm being honest. But the problem is I can see how you can score your schemes like no problem. It's the strategy points that I just don't know where you get them.
I can't imagine getting the strategy points. I think the big advantage that I have that I'll have to try to leverage is mobility. Like I can take a super mobile crew that can be wherever it needs to be, and I don't think Jedza can do that.
I can't.
No, I think Jedza's kind of stuck in the middle of the table.
Yeah, correct. And I think the way you have to play it is to play scheme denial. I know that you think it's a win for Jedza, an easy win.
I think I could make it a 0-0 game pretty easily.
Just stay the fuck away from it, right? Like you can play for the tie, easy peasy. So yeah, I'm gonna have to. I just have to really look at it. But I don't think it's as one-sided as you guys are saying. To be honest,
fair enough. So let's move on to round 4. We have this is a GG0 pool. We've got Reckoning, Corner, Detonate Charges, Hold Up Their Forces, Deliver a Message, Search the Ruins, and Claim Jump. We've got Jacob versus Maeve. Maeve is playing Guild Bass, and Jake has Riva. We've got myself and Adam against each other. I've got Ophelia versus his Guild Hoffman. So, Jake, let's start with you. How you feeling about your match?
Pretty good. You guys know I used to take Riva into Reckoning all the time in GG0. She can put together a crew that is kind of unkillable. So it can be very frustrating for your opponent. And so I feel pretty good about the pool for her and just my ability to pilot her. I will say though, base is a total blind spot for me. I mean, I looked over that master a little bit, but I've never played against him, so I don't really know what to expect there.
Yeah, I mean, he's got some cool tricks. I think the big thing with him, his downside is that like his home on the range ability, his keyword ability to increase the size of your deployment zone essentially can be kind of a trap. So if Maeve deploys too far forward, I think you just eat his crew alive with Riva and whatever else you take, because that crew's pretty nasty. Yeah, I feel like you've definitely got the upper hand in this game. I think that for the lay person who looks at it, they would say, well, these are two kind of weakish masters playing into each other, but just knowing your level of experience with Riva, I think you're fine.
Yeah, I think that's where the tipping point is. It's just the experience level. I mean, you've been playing Riva forever. And I know Bazzi got some love, but I don't think Bazzi's still great. I know the killing that Riva can do, and I just don't see it with the entirety of the Bazzi crew. So
yeah, one thing I will say you will have to be careful of is his the trigger on one of his abilities, the From the Willows ability, because you can do some kind of rude stuff with that on these vassal maps. You can like take a model and move it to
that's true,
a third of the way across the table.
Yeah, that's true, because of the terrain heavy maps, Bazzi can really take advantage of that.
He really can. Yeah.
So I do see that, but I mean, again, it's reckoning. It's all about just killing shit.
Yeah.
You know.
And
so
that said, I mean, you can kind of jam up quarters of the table with pyre markers. Like you can really lock down movement lanes. Like his stuff ignores severe, but I don't think it ignores
doesn't ignore
hazardous.
burning.
It doesn't ignore hazardous.
Yeah. So cool. And then I guess that brings us on to me and Adam. So we've got Ophelia versus Guild Hoffman. So Adam, how do you feel
I
about
hate
this
it.
game? You hate it?
I hate it. If it was any other, if you had, with the exception of Brew 2, if you had any other master, I'd be okay with it. I don't like Ophelia into Hoffman. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, it's funny when the matches got announced, Adam was like, "You seriously got Ophelia? You of all people?" And then he's like, we should just call this game. We don't even need to play it." I don't think that it's that one-sided because, quite frankly, I am good with Ophelia, but Adam is also good with Hoffman, and we've played this match one time in the past, and Adam won. So I think that it's actually a lot more even than it looks. And
I disagree with you guys. Well, I mean, with Adam, I guess I think Hoffman's got a big advantage here. I don't see how Ophelia plinks Hoffman's crew to death. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, I have to take basically my whole crew and pour all of their AP into one or two models and hope that I can kill them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you don't, they're just going to heal up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the big question is whether or not Adam plays Hoffman 1 or Hoffman 2, because I do have to build a little bit differently depending on one. So if he zigs when I expect him to zag, then I could end up with some wasted stones. But that goes the same in either direction. So if I build towards Hoffman 1, I don't have the stones I need to build towards Hoffman 2 and vice versa.
Yeah.
So
my experience with Ophelia is just if you bring a bunch of armor, she really struggles.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I would tend to agree. That is definitely a weakness of the crew, especially now that Rami has lost one of his 2 armor-ignoring triggers.
Honestly, that's true, and I honestly didn't really consider the fact that he lost one of them.
Yeah, so he only has armor piercing on its home now. He doesn't have +1 damage and armor piercing on a crow, which is fucking bonkers.
Yeah, and not only that, but I mean, you can't stone for it,
right?
So you really have to draw it, and then I don't know. I just don't like it.
Yeah, it I don't even know what I'm going to play, if it's going to be Ophelia 1 or 2. I'm still on the fence with it.
I honestly don't know either.
Yeah, I really don't know.
I played against Hoffman 2 at Captain Con, and I dug it. But looking into this pool, I'm like, I don't know if it's what I need. You know, but at the same time, it's reckoning, and irreducible damage is always really good, especially when there's a bunch of shielding on the table, table. But
true story.
I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to jank some stuff up.
Yeah, I think that one's very much up in the air. I don't think it's a home slam dunk in either player's court. So
no, we're going to do some 50-50 booking. You'll take this one.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to round 5 then. So we've got, I'll start with me. So I've got me with Parker into Jacob's Nexus, and then we've got Adam's Nekoma versus Jim's Yoko. So Adam, actually, you know what? Me and Jake. Let's go me and Jake first.
Go you and Jake first.
Jake, how you feeling about Nexus versus Parker?
Okay. Unfortunately for me, going up against Parker with Assassinate in the pool, I only have one master to choose from, right?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah. What?
I don't think so.
I mean, I could just give up points, sure. If I take one of many, I'm giving up 2 points.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends. I mean, so they're size 1. There's a ton of stuff that you can hide behind on some of these vassal maps, or we could just play in person and I'll give you a blank open field.
That's true. I hadn't thought about the size 1 thing. That actually does make a pretty big difference.
Yeah, it does. So you can literally just hide your leader.
Yeah, that actually makes a big difference.
Yeah, and use your other models. You still have a ton of other AP, and you can use your leader to do stuff while still out of line of sight of me.
I mean, I think you have the advantage because I think because Parker and I do not know Nexus, but I don't hate it. There's some cute tricks I can do.
I'll tell you what.
Go ahead.
I don't dislike Nexus into Corrupted Idols against Parker into Corrupted Idols, because you're going to get that stuff back. Like you can recover from the Corrupted Idols. You have cheap enough models to get to recover.
I can also, if he has Parasite tokens, I still take the damage, but I can make him take damage when I push the idols.
Correct, and he has no way to recover from that, especially considering that out of keyword models are limited.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he can do a little bit of healing, but he's going to be losing models, and I think you can win the attrition game.
That's true. That is true.
Especially since your insignificant models aren't really insignificant.
Correct. That's like, not that it's giving anything away, but I think one of the good things Nexus has going on for Corrupted Idols is that my fucking totems can score it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Nexus has a lot of wounds to chew through, like a lot of wounds. And I feel like if I let you get very much damage into me, I'm going to have a very difficult time recovering. I do still think that I have an edge in this match, but I don't think it might be as big of an edge as you'd initially thought.
Well, I think what makes me really afraid is there's a lot of scheme marker stuff. I think it was a really good pick for you to take Parker into this, because you can counter so many of the strategies, or the schemes rather.
Yeah, definitely. This was it was tricky for me to figure out exactly where I wanted to put Parker, but I'm happy with this round being where I landed.
Yeah. I mean, Power Ritual, Outflank, Dig Their Graves, like those are all going to be really hard to score for me, because I have to drop strategy marker. I have to drop markers, scheme markers.
And Dig is super easy for Parker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So. Yeah, cool. It's a very good pick on your part. I mean, and I think Nexus is good into it. It's going to be hard for me to score points. Well, I'll get the idle points. I'm pretty confident about that, but I think you're going to get some other points pretty easily.
Yeah, it's a big denial game for Parker too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. So, Adam, yes. Nekoma versus Yoko. What do you think, sir?
I think I don't say I think I know exactly what I want to play into this, as far as which one. I'm almost concerned with talking about it in case
That's fine. You don't have to.
In case this gets released before the game, but what the fuck? It doesn't matter. So, I mean, I'm 100% taking Nekoma 2 into this. Like, without a shadow of doubt, I'm taking Nekoma 2 into this. There's so much healing, and it's such a big area of healing, and I can start with my smaller models to grow them into larger models. Like, I can grow a tot into youngs, and then they're just moving idols all over the place, and they still count because they were replaced, not summoned. They can do outflank really well. Grow a couple matures, and suddenly I'm assassinating anything on the table. I think Nekoma is pretty solid into this against Yoko.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you have a strong advantage because, it's been a long time since anybody's played Corrupted Idols, but you really want to have initiative control. And you have access to upgrades that give you +2 on the initiative, which is huge. And your crew is very nimble. You can move from one side of the table to the other if the markers don't end up where you want them.
But you're not going to win initiative against Yoko.
You'd be surprised. She's going to need to use a lot of her past tokens, and the Ill Omens would help you stand a chance at it.
I think the other thing I like about it is being able to offensively use the Corrupted Idols.
Yeah.
So,
and like Yoko's crew doesn't spread out that well. Like, they're not particularly fast, and the faster models that they have are fairly fragile.
Yeah,
but your stuff is fast and hard hitting.
There's not a ton of healing within Yoko.
No,
and there's a ton of healing in my crew. And I think when it comes to Corrupted Idols, it's can you heal? Can you heal a lot? Okay, then you kind of win.
Yeah,
because I think it's going to come down to attrition again. Because I'm still going to be able to The card issue isn't going to be that big of a deal because Nekoma 2 just draws about 5 million cards. And Nekoma 2 heals, and Nekoma 2 summons, and Nekoma 2 grows the models into what I need them to do. Like I could just grow meat missiles.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, and a big thing with Yoko, and this is to Jake's point about not winning initiative against her. So there are, because of the amount of speed that you have and the way that your crew works, it would be very reasonable for you to wait until turn 3 or 4 to score any of your scheme points, like at all. And until you start scoring scheme points, Yoko doesn't have pass tokens. So even if he takes Yoko 2 and he gets the free pass tokens at the start of the turn, if you're taking Ill Omens +2, you're tying him and you're back in parity. And if he plays Yoko 1 and you take the 2 Ill Omens, you're probably winning initiative turn 1, 2, and probably 3. And at that point, you're so far ahead that him winning on turn 4 and 5 might not even matter.
And the other thing that I like about it is that while my summoned models that I eventually grow can't interact with the corrupted idols, there's some positional schemes that they would count for, such as outflank. I grow a tot and I carry it over to the corner. Well, there you go. There's outflank. So I think I can maximize the positional schemes while also maximizing the idols. And
yeah, keep in mind he's probably going to tech in a charm warder.
Yeah, and I mean he's gonna bring it in, and it is what it is. But I mean, I can,
and it's not even teching in because it's in keyword form.
Oh, is it?
Charm warders are
in keyword. Then I take 2.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna kill a charm warder.
Yeah, I think the problem is that if you take 2 charm warders and Adam goes into Nekoma 1, they just die.
It's true.
Even if I go into Nekoma 2,
quite frankly, they probably just die against 2.
Yeah, because guess what? I'm not going to start with. I've played the first round about 3 to 4 times just to get it right, like my positioning and everything like that. And I'm going to grow I can grow a mature, a young, and summon a tot every turn.
That's so crazy. Ugh.
So I mean, I'm hoping it does positive for me. I don't know a lot of Yoko 2, but we talked about it on our kind of deep dive, I want to say, and I didn't love it. I just think I hit everything really, really hard. I'm really, really fast, and I heal my stuff. And you're taking damage to hit me, so you're just hurting yourself again. Stop hitting yourself.
Yeah, and Yoko, unless Jim takes some out of keywords, Yoko doesn't really have access to good ranged pressure. So that really reduces his ability to deal with matures. I think knowing that he's going into Nekoma, he probably does end up taking a couple of heavy hitting ranged models like your Fuhatsu, your Samurai, so on and so forth, so that he can, especially Samurai because they have the built in positive, so they can shoot into combat with no problem. Plus, they have free.
They've got a heal, right? They have Juggernaut.
They have Juggernaut for healing, and they have Armor 2, and they have what do you call it? Free focus as a bonus action.
Yeah, that's a good pick for
against Nekoma for sure.
What I like with this Nekoma crew too is it really abuses black blood. So if you get into a position where you have something heavy armor or whatever it may be, and you can't chew through it, you can just keep pinking yourself, and you're gaining resources off that plus damaging them. And there's like a bunch of different models that'll do it. So
yeah, and Thunders doesn't have anything with evasive either, so that definitely hurts him.
Yeah. So I feel good about it. I mean, I may be way off, but I think it's pretty good about it.
No, I think you're definitely in the strong position there. All right, so let's move on to round 6 then. So we've got Adam with Summer versus Sam with Brewmaster. I'm sorry, Adam. We've got Jacob with Levy versus Jim's Wong. I'm sorry, Jim. And then we've got Maya Sami versus Kyle Sonya, which I don't know. I don't know who to feel sorry for there. But yeah, let's just start from the top. Adam, Summer into Brewmaster. Do you have any thoughts, or are you just chalking someone up to a loss? Oh, I didn't even talk about the pool. So it's a
Doesn't
GG2
matter.
pool with it doesn't matter, with corrupted ley lines, wedge, detonate charges, hidden martyrs, outflank, claim jump, and breakthrough. So what do you think? Does it truly not matter? Do you have any kind of a game plan here?
I'm looking at Summer 2 a lot, and I'm really trying to like him. And like there's really cool stuff that he can do, but I just don't see how he does what he wants to do. So I probably have to go to Summer 1, and if I go to Summer 1, it's just the only thing that I can think that benefits me is that I have a lot of shooting available to me.
Yeah, and Brewmaster in both forms
Does
hates
not
to
like
get shot.
shooting. And
Hates it.
if I can plink at him with like my stat 4 shots from my Bayou Gremlins, some of them are gonna hit. You know what I mean? And just if I can dump everything into Brewmaster, I think I can make the crew fall apart.
Yeah, are there, since it's Bayou versus Bayou, are there Brewmaster tech picks that fuck up Brewmaster?
Yeah, I'm taking 12. I'm gonna take 12 cups.
Yeah, 12 cups is super strong against Brewmaster. Like really, really strong.
Super, super duper strong. Yeah.
Not as strong as it is against my crew. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we're getting there.
So yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I'm thinking is I put 12 cups up there. I just try to make it difficult for him. I know at the beginning he has to ball up because he spends pretty much entirely one entire turn just to get poison on everything. So
who is playing him?
Sam.
He's not going to do that.
He is. He does. That's what he does. I played him at Captain Con.
No.
He does.
Really?
Yes, because you need to. Brewmaster 2 needs that one turn of setup to get poison on everything. And that's what in our game in Captain Con, I kind of fucked him a little bit because I was playing Pandora 2 and he had put that hazardous aura around the whiskey golem, and I just pushed it all the way behind his lines. And it kind of fucked him for that first turn because he couldn't get the whole thing set up. So I mean, the only thing I can think of is, just trying to chew through with shooting. Maybe take the emissary to try and score the ley lines. But otherwise, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do against that. Brew 2 is just hard. I'll play Brew 1 all day. Brew 2 is going to be tough.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if I can get rid of Brew 2, then I think I can take care of it. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say that, Summer 1, if you do end up going with him, does have the potential to do a lot of unresistible damage, and it's non-attack action, so Brewmaster can't, like, butterfly jump out of the way or do any janky shit like that, so I think there's definitely some play there. That said, Summer 2 can give out stunned, and he can give out staggered, and I think he can give out staggered. So I would have a tough time picking between the two. I'd have to think about it more, but I do think he definitely has the edge.
I keep looking at Summer 2, and I'm like, the thing about summoning Bayou Gremlins whenever you remove scheme markers, and it's like, cool, but I went through like his entire keyword, and nothing really gets rid of scheme markers that much where I can take advantage of that. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but
yeah, out of keyword.
It can't be out of keyword. It has to be in keyword. It has to be big hat. If a friendly big hat model removes a scheme marker within, I think it's like 10 or something, you can discard a card to summon a Bayou Gremlin into base contact with the scheme marker. But short of himself, I don't see a lot of things where it's like letting me without picking them up, obviously. But like,
I mean, you do it. I mean, the idea is that you do it with Gremlin Raid, his other action. So you're using that as a tactical to push a friendly 6 inches towards a scheme marker, take a bonus action, and then also pick up the marker. But I mean, that's pretty much it. So I mean, like you're hitting a 6 and hopefully hitting a crow to get a 6-inch push towards a scheme marker, getting a shoot, removing the scheme marker, and gaining focused 1 before you actually take the shot. So because you resolve the first action in its entirety before you move on to the second generated action. So I mean, that's not bad. A move, a focus, a summon, and a shot for 1 action.
Yeah. Real talk is I saw that I was playing against Sam. I saw that Sam took Brewmaster in his draft. I saw that we were playing in Corrupted Ley Lines, and I said, okay, Sam's going to play Brewmaster 2 into Corrupted Ley Lines. I'm going to drop my Worst Master.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
That's exactly what I did. I'm not even going to lie about it.
There you go. So, Jake, Levy versus Wong. What are your thoughts?
Well, I already told you I really want to play Levy too. So that is why I put him into this pool. Riders are really good at Corrupted Ley Lines. More than one rider into Corrupted Ley Lines sounds awesome. I'm pretty fucking psyched about that. And I don't know much about Wong because no one plays him because he's awful, but I guess he's a little better now, so maybe I should read his cards. I don't know. I'm more worried about 12 cups of coffee than I am about his crew. Because if I'm Jim, I'm taking 12 cups of coffee twice.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. I would say the things you need to worry about with Wong are he'll probably take Wong 2 because Wong 1 does move duels for his Shockwave, which are basically worthless against riders. And Wong 2 can do irreducible damage, and he has 3 or 4 models in keyword that can all do irreducible damage. So it's actually, it could be potentially kind of a dangerous situation with the rider.
Yeah.
He can also do detonate charges pretty easily. He can deny it pretty easily. Like, it is a good pool for him. I think it's just a matter of whether he hires appropriately to deal with your tech. If he hires properly, you're going to be in trouble. If he doesn't, I think you're going to roll him over.
And, part of it also comes down to whether or not he figures out which one I'm playing and techs into it, I do think Levy 2 is probably the better choice for the pool, but everything you just said makes me think, I'd probably be better off taking Levy 1.
Yeah, Levy one isn't terrible into late lines. I mean,
he's always good, right?
Yeah, you have some fast options. I mean,
right.
Yeah, and then it's just a matter of what you take for your schemes. Like Levy 1, claim jump is usually a pretty auto, pretty much automatic points, and then the other schemes aren't.
Outflank's really good for him.
For Levy 1?
Yeah. Well, Outflank's really good just for Ashes and Dust.
I mean, I don't think Outflank can ever be really good, but yeah.
Honestly, I like Outflank a lot, and I tend to take it a lot, particularly in like when you have diagonal deployment maps. This isn't one of them, but I don't see the problem is with Levy. The problem is just in general with this pool is I don't see the stuff that's mobile enough to do stuff like detonate, to do stuff like breakthrough. Hidden Martyrs is going to be tough because it's really a very elite crew. And if you play Levy 2, I don't even know how you do it if you're just doing
rider. Yeah, it's not really an option if you play.
Right. Yeah, so I think if you do the horse riders, then you have to kind of.
It's probably it's like claim junk breakthrough. Probably.
You can do detonate with the rider because you have ride with me. It's just a matter of if you can. If 12 cups is going to fuck you like hard.
Yeah, it's real bad.
but if you can mitigate 12 cups, if you can take some kind, take Pale, I guess, take Pale Rider and pop some shots off, and then try to kill something with Hoodie, get rid of the 12 cups, because then you could detonate easy with any rider. You just ride with me, drop.
Mechanical rider can do it even easier.
Yeah,
and you know what model is really, really good with the riders? Another model that's in keyword with Levy, and that's Marlena Webster.
Yeah, because Marlena's fucking amazeballs.
Stupid stuff with anything, but especially with riders.
Yeah.
So he can do the irreducible, but his ability to put out irreducible is limited by his number of glowy tokens.
And she reduces irreducible.
And she reduces irreducible, which is huge. Yeah. Cool. So, I would say in that round, I do feel like you have the advantage, but I know that Jim has played by you and is familiar with Wong, so you might actually have a little bit of a game in front of you there.
I think, honestly, I think Jim does have an advantage there just because he has enough anti-tech stuff to make it difficult for you to do what you want to do. You have to You have to. You don't have to anti-tech him. He's got to anti-tech you, and you have to deal with it.
Yeah. I think that the right thing to do would be for me to take Levy 1. Am I going to do that? Probably not. But
That's funny. Fair enough. So I guess let's move on to my game. So I've got Asami versus Kyle Sonya. I don't really know how to feel about this game. I will say that I'm happy with Thunders into ley lines just because they are generally very good at that strategy. Um, Thunders also has a number of Flameborn models that are immune to burning damage, which is pretty sweet. But I know that Kyle is pretty comfortable with Sonya, and I don't know if he takes Sonya 1 or Sonya 2, but I think either way, she's definitely a threat. But what do you think, Adam?
So correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of the Asami stuff does it not rely heavily on triggers?
It depends. What do you
Particular,
call
not
it?
necessarily her, but like obviously her summons
Her
and stuff
support
like that.
models. Yeah. I would say like Amanozako really wants her triggers like bad.
Yeah,
So if she gets stunned or denied them, then she's in trouble.
yeah.
Um, Joragumo really want to be hitting their two of their triggers. One of them is kind of useless. Um, but yeah, I mean triggers are certainly important, and bonus actions are very
Well,
important.
just because there's a lot of counterspell
Yeah,
out and about, and you're going to be paying a premium to do the stuff that you want to do, and she's a summoner,
yeah.
so she's already going to be, resource strapped. Um, so I can see that being a problem. Um, I don't know. I, I I really haven't taken a look at Sonya 2 at all. I just know a lot of my Sonya 1. Um, and I know she could do some stuff, but I also did play her without a keyword stuff. So I honestly don't know. You don't really see enough Sonya to really get a gauge on her.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Is I'm really going to have to take a good read and see if I can come up with something. I don't really know who has the advantage here. I just don't know Sonya well
I
enough.
don't think this is a great pool for Asami.
I don't either, if I'm being honest with you. Um,
Um,
it, she,
Frankly, it's. I mean, just knowing Asami, it's really not bad. She has a lot of very fast models, and Wedge with Breakthrough is very scoreable.
yeah, I mean you
Um,
have Tengu, right?
I have Tengu. I have a bunch of models. Yeah, I have Tengu and Amanozako with Flight. I have the Paper Demons if I decide to hire or summon those, and they're super fast, whatever they're called.
Claim jump can be really good for you.
Claim Jump can be good, but Claim Jump can be good for Sonya too.
Yeah, but I think you have things that
Um,
can move Sonya out is the problem. You can
yeah.
like I think you have the board control game
Hmm.
more on your side.
Yeah.
Um,
And Thunders are great for ley lines, and I don't know that Kyle's going to have an easy time keeping up with me for the strategy.
yeah, yeah, and you do have some options that really just don't give a shit about burning too. So
Yeah, I do. And I mean, like, I think it's pretty good. Like, Outflank is very scoreable for the crew. I Martyrs is doable. I don't think it's great. Detonate Charges is pretty easy, and I can deny it very easily. Like, I think it's fine.
yeah, I mean
So
it's going to come down to
advantage, I couldn't say, but it's going to be a game. I'll tell you that.
I don't know what Kyle's experience level is with Sonya. So if I had to guess, it's not a ton because nobody plays Sonya.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it on that accord, I think you get the edge just because you have experience with Asami.
fair enough. All right, let's move on to round 7 then. So right at the top we have Adams Collette versus Maeve's Arcanist Hoffman. Oh, sorry, the pool rather. So this is a GG2 pool. Symbols of Authority, Standard, Claim Jump, Deathbeds, Let Them Bleed, Bait and Switch, and Spread Them Out. As stated, we have Adams Collette versus Maeve's Arcanist Hoffman. We've got Jake's Pandora versus Sam's Outcast Zip, and we've got My Zoraida Bayou. I'm sorry, Neverborn Zoraida versus Brian's Ten Thunders Yan Lo. So I guess Adam, let's start right at the top. So how you feeling about your game versus Maeve's Arcanist Hoffman?
It's Colette into Symbols.
Yeah, she wins,
dude. That's gonna be insane. Colette too.
Maybe I don't want to say yes or no, but
yeah.
But yeah,
well,
Colette too. Colette 1 has some game in this too, though.
She does.
I mean,
she does.
I mean, let's be real. Let's just look at the pool. I mean, we've got spread them out easy.
Yeah.
We've got bait and switch easy. We've got deathbeds easy.
Claim jump.
We've got claim jump easy. Symbols is a joke.
Do you know how stupid easy it is to score spread them out with Colette too?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's one. It's literally one activation.
It's fucking stupid.
Yes.
Symbols is the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a really easy pool for you to score.
And she doesn't even have to go anywhere.
Nope.
Like, she doesn't have to go near anything.
She never needs to use her feet.
Nope. Never needs to move at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then she can, and it doesn't matter.
And if you want, dude, you're Arcanist. You can tech in some really, really good anti-armor stuff.
You can. Yes, you can. So I'm feeling okay with it. The thing is, it's Symbols, so I think it's going to be Hoffman 2. It's not going to be Hoffman 1. Only reason I say that is, well, I'll let them bleeds in there too, but just because Hoffman 2 is so fucking mobile. And you're probably just going to try and score with Hoffman. Just pick up all the symbols with Hoffman, because you can. But you take that anti-armor attack, and now all of a sudden Hoffman's out of the bubble, and then you just kill Hoffman.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely, I think you have a very strong advantage in this match. I don't really see how Maeve has an easy time scoring much of anything.
Yeah, and no, it's, you take some anti-armor stuff, and then everything else is just debuff, and then just Colette scores everything, and then that's it. So,
how about you, Jake? What do you feel about your match?
Not great. Not great. It was kind of, not that I wanted Pandora into this round. It was just is what was left. I think she can do it. She can make a crew that can split into small groups pretty easily. She can hold the center for claim jump. The tools are there. The tools are there to get points. But Sam is very, very familiar with Zip. It's probably one of his strongest masters. The only thing that I really have going for me there is that he's playing the wrong version of Zip. He's playing Outcast instead of Bayou,
for sure.
Which is a really big deal against Pandora.
Yeah, because he doesn't have access to 12 cups or inferiority complex, which is a big, big, big deal.
12 cups is huge.
Mm-hmm. So is inferiority complex.
Yes, it is, but from playing against his Zip, 12 cups is huge, because now you're not getting your glimpses off. It's a pain to get anything.
You can't open the box.
That's open the box. That's a big deal if you're playing Pandora 1, and then if you're playing Pandora 2, it's troublesome. It's problematic.
Yeah, for sure. I don't really know who has the advantage here. I don't know. There's a lot of good net scheme pool for Pandora, but Zip is tough to pin down. What do you think, Adam? Who do you think has the edge?
I think Pandora has a problem with symbols. I don't like Pandora and symbols.
She does. Yeah, that's true.
I don't like Pandora and symbols because she tends to be bubbly, and even if she's Pandora 2, you're summoning, and the summons can't interact with the symbols. And she has nothing really innately in her faction, in her keyword, that's particularly fast. He's got some great denial, because there are quite a few scheme marker related schemes, like spread them out and deathbeds, and you can pick those off with Iggy if you wanted to. But
at the same time, though, I can't take those either, because Zip's entire crew,
his whole crew picks him up.
Correct. You might be able to let them bleed.
Yeah, I will say that claim jump against Zip is an absolute nightmare to try and score.
Yeah.
Like you're basically not going to score it.
I'll tell you what's going to help you is that if you take the right out of keyword model or models, Zip's going to have a hard time shifting Pandora. If you play Pandora 2. And you definitely benefit from having no inferiority complex against you. So the number of ruthless models he can bring is lower, but at the same time, he's just going to bring Hans, and Hans is just going to shoot Pandora in the face.
That's true. That's true. Hans is a problem.
So you almost have to take Pandora 2, because then his positives become negatives, and he's just straight shooting you because of the luck thief. And then you could put the rest of his infamous crew on negatives.
Negative for willpower, you mean?
No, not negative. No, negatives to attack you.
Oh, I see.
I definitely would say you need to take Dorian so that you guys can have 2 overlapping boring conversation auras up.
But your boring
mine is better.
But yours is going to be better because yours has a poltergeist.
Yeah, so he's on negative flips for his boring conversation stuff, which is pretty huge.
Yes, but the problem is, again, I think you could take claim jump because he doesn't want to be in your bubble.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think you can do claim jump, and not only that, if you're playing Pandy 2, you have all the board control in the world. So you're moving it. Oh, look, he's got a model in the middle. Not anymore. I just pushed it 4 inches. I think that you have that. I think that there's some models in his crew that really don't like to be stunned. Like if you can get stunned on Hans and then summon a sorrow into base contact with him, Hans is fucked. Hans just
if you get
dies, he's useless.
If you get stunned on Zip, he dies.
Yeah,
straight up dies.
So Pandora 2 is the right way to go because you have stunned on a stick. Reliable stunned on a stick. You're gonna have
super like unstoppable.
Yeah, you're gonna have to force that first one through on Zip. So you're gonna have to probably like toss a stone to get the positive to counter out the concealing, but it's worth it. And then like I said, if you put stunned on Hans, he's useless. He's a fucking paperweight. So I think Pandy 2 is your way to go. And the stunned bubble it's not like 6 inches; it's like 10 inches away. And then you summon a sorrow into base contact with him, and he can't do anything. So I think you have the tools to like fuck with his lines. The problem is going to be scoring. Like I don't think you have a problem with like messing with his shit. The problem I think you're going to have is scoring yourself. Aversions will help with symbols because you'll be able to push your models and get some movement.
And that helps with claim jump too.
Aversions are the claim jump model. Right.
Yeah.
It's like you move. Oh, I move in to engage you. No, you don't. Or like, oh, you got models in the middle. Scatter all of you. I mean, like, so aversions are the models to go with that. Got to protect them.
Bait and switch is a tough one.
It is, but it isn't. It is, but it isn't because again, you have crazy board control.
That's true.
You have super crazy board control, and he's going to want to get his models into you. So you can even kind of set it up on one of the symbol markers,
Yeah, and the only other thing I would say is like if for whatever reason you decide to go Pandora 1, she's not terrible into Outcast Zip, and Zip really, 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 really hates having his activation order dictated. Like it messes his game plan up bad.
But again, Pandora 1 doesn't like getting shot in the face by things that ignore terrifying. And you're not
he's only going to have Hans, but yeah.
Well, that's a big deal because she has to get there, and you can get her there. You can get Pandora and Candy up there pretty quick using like aversions and stuff like that to set up for like a turn 2, especially since he's really quick. But the problem is he's just going to be able to get out of your bubble, and then it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I think Pandora 2 is the obvious way to go here. And it's still an uphill battle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I was leaning that direction as well, but at the same time, I keep coming back to the terrifying thing. I don't know.
Yeah, again, though, terrifying is great, but like she hates being shot. You don't have a ton of ranged options. You do have glimpses, right? You have Glimpse the Void that can get some stunned out there. But
Glimpse of insanity.
Not glimpse of insanity, not glimpse of void. You know what I mean? You get glimpse of insanity that can get some stunned up there, and then yes, you can fuck his bubble. But Sam's no Dunsky. You know, he knows that's what you're going to do with Pandora. He knows you're going to try and bubble him, and he's just going to do big old circles around you.
Yeah. All right, cool. So moving on to my pick, I've got my Neverborn. I did it again. Neverborn Zoraida versus Brian's Thunder's Yanlo. So lucky me, I drew into Yanlo twice in this draft. Hoorah! One of my least favorite masters to play against. So I feel like this is a pretty good match for Zoraida. Symbols is generally very good for her because her crew is super fast. He's going to have a very difficult time stopping me from scoring it. And he could play Yanlo too, but I'm not confident that he would, just because that's a complicated master to play. And if he plays Yanlo 1, he's going to be relatively slow. Relatively.
No, that's not a slow crew.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
The thing is, between Yanlo and his totem, you've got a lot of out of activation movement. So there's a lot of ways for him to move his stuff when it's not their activation.
Fair enough.
Manos is super fast.
Well,
of
yeah,
course.
Manos is, yeah.
And then the other thing that you have to kind of look out for is Yin, who himself is pretty fast, but more importantly, he can make things take an interact action. So, you know, he can land something near a symbol, and then Yin activates and makes the thing that's near the symbol take the interact action.
Yeah, that's true too. So, which one? I don't know. Who do you think is favored in this match, Adam?
Honestly, if he plays Yanlo 2, that's really good for Yanlo 2. There's so many movement shenanigans, and then just there's a lot of just like move this model 3 and drop a scheme marker, and make. You have to remember Yanlo has obey too. So Yanlo 2 has obey. Yeah. The problem with although, I mean, you're gonna have Silurids, so that'll help you as far as
Silurids solve problems.
They do. Silurids are very good for symbols.
They're great for spread them out too.
They're very good for spread them out. Claim jump. You know who's going to be nice into claim jump? The Kurgan.
Yeah.
Kurgan's really solid. It's a claim jump, but you have to keep him alive.
I don't know if I'm bold enough to take claim jump into fucking Yanlo though.
The thing with the Kurgan, you could.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know about that. Because do you have an answer for Azamu?
No.
No. And Azamu will just shred that Kurgan.
Yeah, you know what the answer to Azamu is? Obeying Azamu.
You can't obey Azamu.
You can't. He's unyielding.
Oh, he's unyielding. Okay, well, yeah, you fuck that. Don't.
He's also ruthless.
Yeah, you don't really have a ton. Well, is he chewing through armor though?
Who is Azamu?
Yeah.
He has an armor pierce trigger. I mean, he's an enforcer, so he's not hitting it automatically.
Right. So you can't take the Kurgan.
Yeah.
It's tough. I just don't know what you take to get rid of his stuff. You know, because I love Zoraida, but her innate keyword models just lack punch. With the exception of like Juju. You know, I mean, nothing else really has any kind of whack to it. You can debuff the shit out of him. That's cool. But at the end of the day, if claim jumps there, you got to be able to move his models, and he could just sit Azamu in the middle, and you can't move him.
Yeah, for sure. I think it'll be a tough match for me, for sure.
Yeah, I think this is a hard one.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that the only thing I can think of is that he's not familiar enough with Yanlo and he makes mistakes.
It's true. Yanlo is a bit of a learning curve. And part of the reason for that is that Yanlo is a crew full of elites, and all of them do much different things. There's not a lot that is similar about each model, so it's not like you can just learn 3 rules and then know how to play the faction. You know,
And the
keyword rather.
and the other thing is too is Yanlo 2 doesn't have the recursion that Yanlo 1 has. Correct?
He doesn't. No. Actually think he's probably easier to learn if you're just trying to pick him up and play one game. Um, and he's faster, but yeah, the recursion. I mean, Yanlo 1 is gonna bring guys back to life. He's got a really good heal. He's probably the better choice into this pool, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, Yanlo 2 is just really good into this too.
He's just really good. Yeah.
Because the thing is, he's like normally when you have a situation like this with some of these schemes, it's like, okay, well, I have Zoraida, so I have board control essentially, but Yanlo has it, and in this case, I think it's better.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he has more of it between him, between the Soul Porter and like he just moves everything around. And I think that you're not going to be able to stop it, unfortunately.
You're right, though. It comes down to is Brian familiar with Yanlo? You know, because it's not an easy master to just pick up and play. There's so many things you can forget to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what I'm banking on, is just that my familiarity with Zoraida outdoes his hopeful lack of familiarity with Yanlo.
Yeah, but I
if
guess
he knows what he's doing,
clue.
yeah, if he knows what he's doing with Yanlo, I'm in trouble. It's going to be a tough match.
I agree.
Yeah. Cool. So very last thing here. So let's just talk about who we ended up getting stuck with for our masters for round 8. So obviously we don't know who we're going to be paired against, but the scheme pool is break the line, flank, bait and switch, catch and release, deathbeds, assassinate, and detonate charges. My default pick is Rezer Jackdaw. Let me see here. Jake's is 10 Thunders McCabe, and Adams is Hamlin. So I would say I'm pretty comfortable with Jackdaw into this pool. I think it's like a generally pretty good one for him. It really just depends on what faction I get paired into. And then I feel like Jackdaw 1 and 2 play differently enough that if I feel like it's a bad match for one, I can easily switch into the other. I feel pretty good with him in this round. How about you, Adam? What do you feel about Hamlin here?
Well, like I said, I knew Hamlin was going to be last as my pick, and I knew that I could put him into this pool, and I could be okay with it. He's an obey master. Hamlin 2 is an obey master, and it's break the line. And obey masters are pretty good in break the line. But also he's tough to kill because of with assassinate in the pool, you got to get rid of his stolen. He can do detonate pretty well. Rat catchers have don't mind me, so that's pretty positive. I think he can play into this okay, depending on what he's playing into. So
fair enough. Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think that that's a good assessment of where he stands, and I think a lot of it again is going to depend on your opponent. But you know Hamlin well enough that I think you'll do fine.
Yeah, I haven't played a ton of Hamlin 2, but I think again, obey is just always good into break the line.
Good.
Yep. You know, particularly since there's no worries about obeying his own models to kick it backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And
are there? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, are there any of the remaining masters that you would not want to play into?
What are they for the last round? Let's just take a quick look.
We've got Shtuk, McCabe, 10 Thunders, My Rezer Jackdaw. We've got Explorer Society Bass, Dreamer, Ulix, and Maxine.
I think I would be okay into a couple of those. I don't like Von. I just don't like Von Shtuk, so I wouldn't want to play against him.
Yeah, fair enough.
And mostly, it's not even that I don't like Von Shtuk. I don't like Anna.
Yeah,
because
she's bad news.
Anna's bad news bears. No, I think I can't worry about that. I just have to kind of worry about my game.
Fair
enough. That's the way I'm looking at it, because nobody's going to know who's matched into who there.
Fair enough.
So it's gonna have to be like Zig and Zag and List Chicken at that point, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Jake, how about your McCabe Thunders? How do you feel?
I don't think it's a great pool for McCabe. There's a lot of there's a lot is going to be happening near the center of the board. There's a lot of interacting with other models, a lot of getting close, and I'm not loving it.
Yeah, I feel like this is probably a McCabe 2 pool instead of McCabe 1.
That's true.
McCabe 1 can do a lot of the debuffing and moving stuff around, but that may not be as valuable this game. McCabe 2 is solid center of the board presence, though.
Hey, he's got that bleeder lash. What did he steal that from?
Yeah.
From what's her name?
Madam Sybil.
And
his gun is pretty legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a McCabe 2 game for sure.
I was thinking the same thing, but my thought for round 8 was I'm gonna put the master that I am the least excited about in there, because to be honest, this tournament, draft, whatever you want to call it, is probably going to be determined already by the time we get to round 8. Maybe there'll be 2 people who are potentially playing to win, but with 7 games already done, there's a good chance that we already know who's winning.
It could be. Cool. So I didn't really have any other thoughts on mine. Did you guys have any last minute thoughts before we break?
No, not particularly. I'm just trying to think of some like horrible matchups in that last 8, like people who shouldn't want to see the other person.
Yeah, I would say for favorable matchups, I would love it if I got paired into Maeve's Ulix, because I think Daw into Ulix is just a bad game for the pigs.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to get paired into Dreamer, I don't think.
No, I think that hurts you.
That would be a bad match for sure. Other than that,
I think you'd have a lot of trouble with Maxine.
Yeah, especially if he plays Maxine too. That would be tough. But yeah, so I think I have a couple of rough potential matchups in there, but also 1 or 2 very strong ones.
Yeah, I don't want to see Von Stuck is what I don't want to see. But otherwise,
Von Stuck, this is a good pool for him, and he's good in general.
He is good in general, and I think especially into like an Obey Master with Anna particularly, he's pretty solid. And then like a Summon Master, Anna's pretty solid. So regardless of what Hamlin I play, I'd rather.
Hey, pro tip: Anna's really good.
Yeah,
no kidding.
Tell me about it. All right. Well, I guess that should do it. We're up on about 2 hours and almost 20 minutes. I think this might be our longest episode.
Woof.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. And we got started like an hour and a half later than we wanted to. So it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I am exhausted. I'm like falling asleep at the table here. So, with that said, and without any further ado,
there is further ado.
Oh, there is further ado.
Yeah, we made a promise to one of our listeners.
Oh, yeah, you do it.
Yeah, so one of our listeners has asked that we plug his upcoming tournament. It's a weird way to play. That's coming up April 3rd at the Dragon's Hoard, located at 199 Main Street in historic Hackettstown, New Jersey. It looks like it's going to be a 50 Soulstone 3-round event. Each round will be 2.5 hours long. So if you want any further information, I'm going to make sure that Jesse gets a look at this, and he can put it up in our show notes.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was the guy's name? Lamont something or another?
Yeah, Lamont something or another.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Lamont. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm freaking tired, dude. I'm trying.
Lamont Melendez.
Lamont Melendez. I remembered his first name. Killer.
Yeah, good job. I'm proud of you.
Awesome. So with that said, keep your conversations boring and stay weird, folks.